In this video, I'm going to be talking about your Eureka response rubric. And this isn't just for Eureka, it would be whatever kind of math problem that you would be responding to. You would probably want to follow these guidelines. But specifically in my class, this is how the points are going to break down. So I wanted to start by talking about the operational or non-constructive response problem. Okay, so these are your problems like 2 plus 2, okay? There's not a word problem involved with that. So it's not saying Jake has 2 buttons and he found 2 more. It's just asking you to add 2 things up. So how would I respond to a problem like this? Well, whenever you're looking at a rubric like this, you want to start at the highest value. So let's start at 3. And let's see, what do I need to get a 3 for this? I need to respond. I need my response to be correct and have sufficient supporting evidence. Well, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now, that's a correct response, but what would supporting evidence for that be? Now, this is going to vary from problem to problem. Whatever type of math you're doing is going to involve a different level of work to show. Sometimes there's not going to be a lot of work to show, like in this case. And I'll let you know how much work you need to show on any given thing. I'm not all about you don't need to drag yourself out trying to figure out how you're showing your work here. But for 2 plus 2, just an example, maybe I can draw 2 of something, 2 little buttons, and then 2 more, and then I can see, well, how many do I have altogether? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be supporting evidence. So that would be like a 3 response right there. And 2, I wanted to talk about 2 because response is correct but lacks supporting evidence. So let's say I skip any of the work that I could have done to show what I did, and I just wrote 4, right, in my example. So I just wrote 4 instead of any supporting evidence. Well, I still get the 2, but I didn't support my work, so I don't get all the way up to 3. But it's this other or part right here that I wanted to talk about. Or even if your response is incorrect, if you show your thought process, then you're going to get the point. So let's say, for example, instead of putting 4, I put 5. Okay, 2 plus 2 equals 5. And let's say I come over here and I show my work and I'm counting up 1, 2, 3. And then I go from 2 to 4 to 5. And so I just counted wrong, but I showed my work and I can see where you messed up. You can see where you messed up and I can show you. So you showed your work, but you got a wrong answer. That's a 2-worthy score right there. Okay, so 2 is the key thing here. Even if you get the answer incorrect, you'll have a chance to get your points if you show your work. All right. 1, your response is incorrect and it lacks supporting evidence. You don't want a 1 or a 0, okay? Most of the time with these, 1 is just you threw something down. Like you scribbled a 6 or something in there. You didn't bother even explaining what you did, okay? And then no response, obviously you're not going to get any points if you don't do any of the work. So, and I'm going to demonstrate how this applies in some more specific problems right now. 8th grade, Module 1, Lesson 1, Problem Set. All right, I'm going to talk about this and tell you what I expect you to do in reference with the rubric as well to show you how you can get your points. So a lot of this lesson is going to be operational, and a lot of the problems are going to be operational. So 1 through 4 here, I'm going to draw 1 through 4 here, are going to be all operational problems. But you can see in 1, there's more than 1 problem to solve, so each one of those will be worth a point. And I want you to label them like this, okay? So these A, we're going to go, I think we'll go down like this, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. All right, cool. All right, so that's how I want you to label them for when you're writing them, so I know what you're answering. So there's 10 and, there's a lot of problems. 10, 16, and then 2 more 18. So there's a lot of points on this already. Wow. Okay, give me just a second. So there are 16 operational questions. Each one of those questions is worth 3 points each. 18 questions. Each operational questions worth 3 points each possibly. So that's 54 possible points here, but I'm probably not going to make it worth that much. All right, but how do we go about responding to these? So we did all this in the lesson above, so you should know what to do. But let's say we need to get our answer and put it into the Google Form document, right? So let's take 1A, for example, here. So 1A, excuse me, 1A will have -5 times -5, and here it's suggesting 17 times. So we would write that as -5 to the 17th power. All right, now, how are we going to write this into a form? So we're going to come to our Google form. And all you're going to have in the Google form is a picture of the problem set and a blank paper. So we want to write our answer, our solution to the first problem here, -5 to the 17th power. We want to type it into Google Form. So what we're going to do is get our keyboard out of here and we're going to type it up. So all you'll have in the Google Form, give me just a second. So as I said, all you'll have in the Google Form is a blank Word text document that you will be filling into. So as you go to answer your problems, you're going to start by hitting 1, period, and you can go down like this and go hit like A. Boom. So now we're going to respond to part A right here, and we're going to have -5 as our base, -5, and we're going to put that in parentheses, because why not? And we need to write 17 as the exponent. So we need to have it as that little superscript. Well, how are we going to do that, Mr. Sheen? All you're going to do, you'll look up at the top, you'll hit Shift, and on your keyboard, it should be where the 6 is. This little arrow right here, just pointing up. It's a pointing up little arrow. And that's going to tell me that the next number that comes after that is your exponent. So if I have -5 to the 17th power, I would write it just like that right there. Okay. Hopefully that explains how to do that, and you're going to keep going down, and you're going to answer B, which obviously part B is a little bit different because this right here, they just want to know what's going to go into the blank right here. So you have 7 times 7 with the brackets, so a number of times, and they're saying that it equals 7 to the 45th power. So how many times is 7 being multiplied by itself? If you have 7 to the 45th power, you have it being multiplied 45 times. So all you're going to do is B. The answer is 45, and that's all I need from you. All right, fantastic. So I gave you 2 of them, and you're going to keep going down. You're going to answer C, D. Okay, so what if we come to a problem like D? We did this in as a group, but we have a fraction here that we're going to answer, right? So they want to know what 2 to the 3rd power times itself 19 times would be. So how do we write the fraction as the base? Well, I'm going to put it in parentheses because it's good habit to put the fractions in parentheses anyway. So we have 2 as the numerator, 3 as the denominator. So we have 2/3 as our base. Then we're going to hit Shift 6. You'll see the little arrow right above the 6. It should be the 6 on your keyboard. Shift 6 gets you that little arrow guy. And that little arrow guy tells me that the next number is going to be my exponent, and it's 19 times. So 2/3 to the 19th power. Boom. Boom. That's how you would write that. in part D right there. Okay, so you're going to keep going down and you're going to do E because you got that from here. You can pick up what I'm laying down right here, guys. So we go to F, you got it. G, you got it. H, that one's a little bit different because it's got the negative, but just remember to keep the negative in a parenthesis. So looking at H, you have negative 1.1 times itself to the x time. Oh, this one has two variables. So what would it be? How many? Oh, wait, we don't even need to write this, do we? Am I doing this wrong? I'm looking at the wrong. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. 1.1, and then how many times it says? It says over here 9 times. So what's going to be my exponent? It's 9. So I'm going to have negative 1.1 in parentheses to the 9th power. And when I type that in over here, that's going to be little arrow guy, 9. That tells me the exponent to the 9th power. And leave a space off of the letter or number. Just good practice there to keep things organized. You got you have I. You can do it. It's just like it's just like other ones we've done. Only this time it's a variable, right? So this time you have I. You have negative 11 fifths being multiplied by itself a couple of times. It being multiplied times itself x number of times. So what goes in the box right here? What goes in the box? Good. Fill that in. You have J. You're write the little J. You're gonna give your answer, which you got that. You can do that one. All right. Again, it's just why not? I'll give you another. It's variables, but here you see you have a times itself m number of times. So they want you to write it as in exponential form. So you have a little arrow to the m power. The little arrow lets you know that it's an exponent, okay? All right, you got that from there. Number 2. Finally, we can get to a regular. Number 2, write an expression with negative 1 as its base that will produce a positive product and explain your answer, why your answer is valid. Oh, so should I consider 2 to be more as a constructive response part? Give me just a second. Sorry about that. I gotta figure out how to pause this quick. Okay, so I have decided that for this one, write an exponent with negative 1 as base to give you a positive product and explain why. You can take the explanation part out. You don't need to explain yourself for this one. We're going to make these operational problems here, okay? So just write an expression with negative 1 as the base that will give you a product that is positive. So the negative 1 is the base. Negative 1 times itself, how many times is going to get me a positive number? Remember back to the lesson, this needs to be an even number of times. So for example, number 2, I can put negative 1 to the 2nd power. And that's good enough. 3, just ask for the same thing, but only this time we want to get a negative product. So if even exponents give us positives, then what kind of exponents do we need to put get the answer there? Do you need an even or an odd? What do you think? There you go. You can answer that one. 3 points on that one. Okay, so 4 is also chunked up a little differently. So we're just going to type 4 for now, and we're going to write 8 equals. So in this one, they want us to rewrite each number in exponential notation using 2 as its base. And this is going to make sense as we do this. So we want to figure out what 8 equals when we have 2 as a base. So let's go. Let's start multiplying. 2 times 2. What's 2 times 2? Well, that's 4, right? So we multiply that again. Times 2. That should be 8. Let's just come to our calculator and let's just check and see if that's actually happening. So we have 2. Can I do this right here? 2 times 2. 4 times 2 again. 8. See what I'm saying?
So 2 times 2 times 2, that is the same as saying 2 to the what power? To the third power. So that's how you would write that in exponential form, okay? You're going to keep going down. You have 16. How many times would you have to multiply 2 times itself to get 16? Well, let's just try it. 2 times 2 is 8. Well, if we multiply times 2 again, let's try it. Equals 16. Fantastic. So 2 times itself 4 times gets us 16. So we have 2 to the fourth power. Okay, y'all should get that from here. So then you're going to write 32. You got this from here. 64. What is it going to equal? Equals, and you have 128. What with equal to what with 2 as its base? And then 256. How you write it with 2 as a base, okay? You just like I did it up there. We talked about it. You got it. You can do it. I believe in you. I have faith in you. All right, let's go to, okay, now we're going to continue on to 5 and 6, which I'm going to, I'm going to call these constructive response, and we're going to go over the rubric for constructive response questions, and we're going to come right back. So what is it?
And this is the rubric for your constructive response problems. So what if you have a constructive, like a word problem, right? If you have a word problem, say like Jake has 2 buttons and finds 2 more. How many does he have now? All right, so we want to get the most amount of points we can on each one of these. All right, so operations, that's just like what we talked about before. Operations is just the math part. Okay, so I want to get all my points for my operation. So what do I need to do? I want to get all of the operational aspects to this question correct. So some word problems you get are going to have more than one part of the question that they want you to answer, but we want to try and get all of them, right? So in my example, I have 2 buttons. I find 2 more, so that's going to be like a 2 plus 2 situation, and that's going to equal 4. So 4 is going to be the operational part of this, and as long as I have that, then I'm going to be okay. Okay, now spelling and grammar. All right, I want to get a 2 on this. So I want my response to be in a complete sentence. Complete thoughts or sentence. Complete thoughts, sentences with appropriate grammar and capitalization and punctuation. You've all taken English for a while now. You need to talk to Misty about how to write in full sentences, okay? I'll be pretty lenient about this, but you want to use correct grammar, capitalization, punctuation. You want it to be a full sentence. So what would a full sentence for this look like? Okay. Okay, so look, also, we want to restate the question now. I wanted to throw this at you because response restates the question. So what is the question? How many buttons do I have now? So does Jake have now? So to restate the question, I would want to say, Jake now has 4 buttons. Okay, and I want to have my supporting evidence, which over here really is sufficient evidence. But if I wanted to continue this, I would write because, and because is fine there, because 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that's a complete sentence, complete thoughts. It restates the question, and it's got the correct answer. So I'm going to get 2 points for my operations because I got the correct answer. I'm going to get 2 points for writing this in a complete sentence. I'm going to get 1 extra point for restating the question in my response. So that's 5 points total on any constructive response problem. So, and the way this could work in a more practical sense on specific word problems, I'm going to show y'all some right now.
It's F6, so what if I do here? F6. No. So there are 2 constructive response questions in this set, each worth 5 points. So if each one is worth 5 points, that means that's 10 potential points down here for these two problems, meaning that you have a total of 64 points on the assignment, but I'm going to whittle that down. I'll whittle it down to something less than that. Let's say I'll make it worth, say I make it worth like 40 points total. Okay, 40 points total for this assignment. All right, so that gives you some wiggle room to play with. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 are constructive response questions. I want to do number 6 with you to discuss. So you're going to do number 5 and you're going to answer, and then you're going to write number 6, and we're going to talk about. So could -2 be used as a base to rewrite 32 or 64? Why or why not? So first of all, why don't you see if you can answer the question? Can -2 be used as a base to find either of those? What do you think? See if you can come up with an answer. Pause the video if you have to. Give me just a second. Okay. All right, great. Here we go. Okay. All right, so -2. So over here, we may have discovered that 32 is the same as 2 to the fifth power, and 64 is 2 to the sixth power. So can we use -2 as a base for 32 first? Can we? -2 to the fifth power is going to get us what? It's going to get us 32, but it's going to be -32. So we can't use it for 32. So 32 is off the table. What about 64? What if we have -2 to the sixth power? Well, that's going to get us a positive answer, and we talked about that above. Okay, we talked about that in the lesson. They all have their own matching -2 to go with them to the prom, so they all feel positive about it themselves, and there's no negative feelings in the building. So because everybody's got, and I think I did too, but everybody's got a way to be positive and happy. So everything is positive. So yes for 64, but not for 32. And the way we could go about writing our answer, giving a full response to that question would be something like this. So we would type -2 -2 to the fifth power gets us -32. So we cannot have -2 as a base and achieve and reach 32 as a product. -2 to the sixth power equals or is 64. So we can use -2 as a base to get 64. And I know it seems like that was a lot of typing, but this is a complete thought. This is a complete sentence describing what my thoughts on the situation. And again, this is a constructive response question, so you need to restate the question. Could -2 be used as a base to rewrite this? Okay, and then we need to explain why or why not. So this would be a sufficient response for that. Probably could have shortened that up, but who cares? All right, so let's just talk about number 5. I'll mostly leave it to you, but Tim wrote 16 to the 16 equals -2 to the 4th power. Is he correct? You tell me, is he correct or is he not? Why do you think so? You can do it. Use your best judgment. Remember, answer in a complete sentence. So this is going to be a 40-point assignment. You have plenty of room to make those points, and I gave you a bunch of answers. So even if you just have the answers that I gave you, you're going to be doing pretty good. But I would suggest trying on these other ones. Effort is always appreciated. Y'all, I'll see y'all in the next one.